again use false allegations of child molest to take and destroy the other party, and that's what's going on. My daughter's life, her child's name and life is ruined, and no one's thinking about the 4.5-year-old daughter that was truly bonded to her mother and not her father in this case. Because he went on, he chose to leave the bar. My husband and I chose to fill that void. So we spent war days in 2003. In a very good years, my daughter was getting her life together as a single, successful mom. And the system took advantage of that single, successful mom. And they painted her like she was a derelict. And the accusers, the derelict, they failed to check into. And now they made a mistake, and it snowballed to the county attorney's office, which is part of it, continued to snowball with the experts, the lawyers who are all... We have hundreds of thousands in legal fees, and I'm a voice for all those that are... We are all a voice for all those that are locked up who cannot go to the next step. In a matter of a couple days, we have to come up with $18,000 for the next step, because the judge, after 2.5 years, turned down my daughter's PCR. Boom. Your lawyer was fine, everything was fine, your world-renowned experts are a pile of junk. We have the finest lawyers at the end, the finest experts in the world. And the Arizona system of county attorney and judge can decide to throw it away. That has to raise many, many questions. And we need your help in getting independent investigations on all the levels, because the judge could have done the right thing, and he did not. We hoped and prayed, like it should be in our country, that the judge would make the right decision and look at the compelling new evidence, proof of innocence. And he wrote something that obviously shows he never read it. He never read the case. And we have articles here that came out by Steve Lemons of Phoenix New Times, who has done a series on my daughter, that he knows more in what he wrote than the judge even read of the case. And we have to give credit for people like Stephen Lemons, who put their life on the line for injustice in Arizona. And don't call it a rag, and don't call it whatever I hear, because the truth is in that newspaper. Because we do not have an LA Times here. We do not have a New York Times. We have an Arizona Republic that will only cover a story after it's just too late. I'm going to close for now. I could go on and on, but I'm going to introduce my husband, Tom, of 47 years. And this is the life that the system is destroying. A lot of other people have had things go wrong. They've made serious mistakes and flaws. So they feel like, well, I did it, I have to take my punishment. But do they need 75 years? Do they need 50 years? I mean, go $30,000 a year to house an inmate. $30,000 a year could go to college. Could go to these teachers. The teachers need to understand that their budget's over here, and come over here and get it taken over there. But then nobody's talking about that, because nobody likes to talk about prisons. And we've had prison reform town halls and prison reform rallies. Nobody wants to come to those. I don't know. 1 in 31 are in corrections. That does not count the detention centers that are all over our country. That does not count the juvenile centers. Okay. And that does not count whoever's been out there forever. So, I mean, we got to have 12 million people in our nation touched by incarcerations. I've got my guest speaker flying in on a plane, and she's with the psychiatrist who's treating people at Rikers. That's corrections, that's prisons. I used to be on the plane, and we'd be talking about what condo we're buying, okay, as the people were rolling their investments into the next condo, and, oh, I'm going to Naples, well, I'm going to Scottsdale, and I'm going to Santa Barbara or wherever. Look at where we are now. Everybody's life is shattered, and those that are in power have the power. They've written the laws. We've consulted California attorneys and said, I'm sorry, we can't help you, because the individual's rights are gone in the state of Arizona. I don't want to waste your money. You have no rights. So let's go, Now I'll give you my husband, Tom, and the father of Courtney, and the father of our beloved granddaughter, Taylor Lee, who is 4.5 and is now going to be 10 on Labor Day. son. Thank you for your patience and listening.
You thinking me? I could have cut my shot. I could have everything I wrote down. She highlighted in some way, so I'm going to let you go on. I just thank everybody for attending. I was going to briefly run through the case, but it all starts with a detective that doesn't do his job. He rushes to judgment, and he shortcuts the process. And that's all I got to say. It sort of appears it's in writing, but he started with an assumption, and he used adults to get his theory, which is an ex-husband and his friend and this grifter mother. They put the story together and forced or allowed the teenagers to. If you read the interviews, you'd realize there's something wrong. They all had different stories. One said it went on for 3 minutes. The other said 45 minutes. The brother of the accuser said it never happened, and he was accused of lying by the detective that he didn't feel that he was telling the truth. But they decided to go on and arrest her. And once they arrested her, and if you follow all the violations, you can understand how it goes forward. They lie to the IA hearing, saying it's consensual. They lie to the first grand jury, saying it's consensual. Then they go to a second grand jury, all to make her non-bondable. And what I sort of analyzed myself, not being an attorney, not even being familiar with this, it all has to do with what Representative Ash expressed so clearly. It has to do with mandatory minimum sentencing and plea bargains. It's an escape for poor police work and poor county attorney work. What it does is it establishes such high penalties, knowing that if you did something wrong, you're bound to accept a plea bargain, and shortcuts their work. But if you didn't do anything wrong, you have no place to go, because nobody wants to work with an innocent person, not even your attorney, because you're not supposed to be innocent once you're arrested. I've already rattled longer than I was going to. Thank you again so much for everybody that's here.